So, good day. Here we are again. For those of you who might be new, welcome. And you're joining a community that has a little bit of momentum with it, of sitting together these mornings for the last few months. And many of you feel quite supported. And certainly I feel supported by all of you who are sitting here and participating. And I appreciate very much the chance to come to IMC these mornings and sit with you, offer the Dharma with you, and thank you. Yesterday I talked about using breathing, and it could be any object for meditation. It doesn't have to be breathing, but that's kind of the reference point I use. And if that's not your thing, then just substitute whatever your meditation practice is for this. But to use the breathing as a microcosm, kind of, that represents or relates to the other areas of your life. That often the very subtle, the attitudes we have about life and ourselves and our experience sometimes appear in our meditation, sometimes in obvious ways, but also sometimes in very, very subtle ways. And something as subtle as how we wander off in thought, the attitude we have about wandering off and getting lost, and beginning again with the breathing, can contain a whole slew of different attitudes, reactions, reactivity, and opportunities to find and support a way of being that's useful for meditation, but also useful for the rest of our lives. We don't want to have meditation be its own little, unique domain where it helps us feel good, with no relationship to the rest of our life. Meditation is a training ground, is a place to learn how to be with ourselves, with our experience, with our relationship to our experience, that then we want to translate or apply to the rest of our life. And the line between meditation and non-meditation is rather arbitrary. And so looking at this issue of when the mind gets involved in thoughts, and maybe you get lost in thoughts for a little while, and you notice that, what happens then? What is the attitude? What is the reaction you have to it? And what's the opportunity there? Yesterday I talked about having the return to breathing, starting again the breathing, be something which feels good to you and is nice and peaceful, harmonious, not aversive, not to what just happened, not pouncing back on the breath, and experimenting with that little thing to just be, to be a nice way. Today I'd like to suggest something in addition to that, and that is if your mind gets involved in something, thoughts, ideas, fantasies, conversations, images of things, which you then feel somehow, to use a intentionally vague word, bad about it being that way. You feel bad about yourself for having those thoughts, those feelings, those motivations, those fantasies. Maybe they represent, having those thoughts and ideas, some kind of difficulty or challenge you have, something that warrants some compassion, some kindness, some care, some forgiveness. The very fact that you're having some thoughts that are difficult to have and things that you feel uncomfortable with, it might actually be a little bit a sign of health, good health, to feel uncomfortable at certain things which are maybe unhealthy, maybe unskillful, maybe unethical to have these kinds of thoughts. But in meditation, when those kinds of things occur, the art of meditation, that's using this microcosm as a way of approaching life differently, we can have some compassion for ourselves, compassion for the difficulty of life, the momentum of the difficulty, and how it manifests in these reactive ways we have. And so today, as you sit and meditate with your breathing, and you find yourself wandering off, you might check in and see if that's an opportunity for a few moments of compassion or care or kindness, or maybe a kind of forgiveness of yourself, where you treat yourself as if you're a friend or even a kind stranger or something, where you really care for you and you make room and you hold the person in your kind of open care, rather than reacting in negative ways and seeing yourself, what you did, as you're a bad person because of it. And in little ways, then, you can use that ways in which you wander off in thought to begin to train yourself to see with compassion, especially if you can feel in wandering off in thought that there is a little bit of suffering in that, either in the reactivity or in those thoughts themselves. To receive and be with what's happening with compassion, and then to return to your breathing, and that letting that return be peaceful and nourishing. And so we're using that little piece of wandering off as the training grounds. Please don't wander off intentionally so that you can train, but use this opportunity before you come back, to have some compassion there, if it's warranted, and then begin in a kind way. So, to gently close your eyes, and to take a few long, slow, deep breaths to begin the process with the breathing of maybe connecting to some compassion, some capacity to hold the challenges, the difficulties, the suffering with care, with kindness, with the idea that we're working towards the alleviation of suffering. This wonderful path, freedom from suffering. It's good to know you're on the path. And then to perhaps relax, release the holdings of the body. And then release yourself into your breathing. And there's a way that sometimes we can drop deep into the body. We can be grounded deep in the body, centered here. And from this, some kind of depth within, to experience the breathing. To experience the rhythm of breathing. And relaxing the mind. So the mind too is allowed to settle. The mind too can settle deep into the body, breathing. And then continuing by valuing the opportunity to be with your breathing. Hanging in there. But when the mind wanders off, or you're caught in thoughts or reactivity or some unkind way of being as you sit here, or you're concerned or thinking about some difficulty, use the opportunity for compassion, care, kindness, even forgiveness. And then begin again with your breathing. Notice how you are. Notice any reactivity or ways in which you think or react that is painful or harsh. And maybe even the way you react to wandering off in thought. See if you can gaze upon all this kindly. Have compassion, forgiveness for yourself. Not to get yourself off the hook, but to see it all kindly, so you're not weighed down by it. And you can begin again with your breathing. Kindly, supportively, in a nourishing way. So the whole experience of beginning again is a wonderful microcosm for what's possible in life. Generally, the more tense we are, the more our capacity for compassion, kindness, care gets lost or covered over. And the more at ease we are, the more our body is relaxed, the more likely that we can feel our capacity, our emotions of kindness, compassion, care, perhaps even feeling it radiating from our muscles of our body, radiating from the heart. And in this last couple of minutes of the sitting, perhaps in the next 3 breaths, as you exhale, see if you can relax a bit more. Exhale and settle into greater ease, physical ease, relaxation. Exhale and perhaps open up to your capacity for kindness, love, care, compassion. Then you might consider, think ahead for the day that you have, and maybe plan ahead a bit to see how you can, for this day, be a little bit more compassionate to the world and to others than you would have been otherwise. Not that setting a high standard that now you have to go into the world filled with compassion, but perhaps it's only 5% more compassionate than you would have been otherwise if you hadn't thought about it. And coming out of this meditation, perhaps you can think ahead into the day, and where and what circumstance might you be prepared to have a bit more compassionate, kind attitude towards the others and to the world. So that the meditation clearly has a relationship to how you're going to live for this day. And may it be that our collective meditating here today, that this, through all of us, may it be that the world becomes a better place, that more people feel at ease, feel safe, are the recipient of kindness and support, so that this world becomes a better place for all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe.